What's going on, Jeromes? Firing up some Q&A on this lovely, beautiful Friday, so let's get it going. Tristan D, not a question, but I've been watching the channel since we signed Kirk, and I enjoy all your content. I want to say thank you for making us Vikings fans a little less miserable by providing us with awesomeness, as your channel. Close, 3. Oh, it's a heart. Nailed it. Thank you. That's pumping it up right there. X-Gen, hey Andy, I enjoy hearing your optimism on this channel. It brings positivity and accept. I wrote all of these, by the way. And except every time you speak, if you had the authority to delete one franchise from the NFL, which team? Why is this not showing up? Which team would that be? So we're deleting one NFL franchise. It'd be tough to delete a historical franchise. I would have said the Bengals if they didn't make the Super Bowl last season. I'm trying to think of a team. It's going to hurt to say because there's hardcore fans of every single team in the league. But just in terms of sheer numbers, I mean, you may look at the Falcons. You may look at the... I wouldn't say Chargers because the Chargers actually have a good team this year. How about you just... How about you have an average of the next 5 seasons? Whichever team has the worst record is deleted. I don't know, but just for spite. Well, I know that they want me to say delete the Packers, except I actually feel like the Packers-Vikings rivalry is one of the things that make football fun. So we'd have them hang around. It's like you can't have sweet without the sour, and the Packers are certainly the sour. I don't know. Texans. I don't know. Would a lot of Houston fans really be broken up over that? They may even want to delete their own team. Hell. Anyways. Randy Orton. Hey, Tim Pot Pizza Ranch Dictator, Andy, Jerome, Ezekiel Carlson. I'm looking forward to the Jeromes meeting upcoming soon. I think it'll be a lot of fun discussing Vikings related and many more. Yes. I forget which day it is, but it's a Saturday in August. Actually, let's look at the calendar because it is before the Raiders preseason game, the day before. Yeah, all right, so Saturday, August 13th, Muddy Chicken in Burnsville. Be there. Afternoon, noonish time. Predict your 2023 NFL playoffs. Which teams make it to the dance, who advances and who doesn't. Which team will win the Drombardi this year? Race, set, go. All right, so let's do this. NFL standings. That I misspelled. All right, let's take a look right here. No, we don't want 2021. Bad memories. All right, so bringing this up, I'm going to say the Bills win the division. All right, so let's do division winners first. So Bills, Bengals beats Battlestar Galactica. Man, what a garbage division. Colts, and I will say that the Chargers win the AFC West. I think that the Broncos and the Chiefs make the playoffs as 2 of the wild cards, and the third wild card will be the Ravens. There you go. So that's the AFC. Let's go NFC. I think the Eagles will somehow squeak out the East. I think the Vikings obviously win the North. The South, the Bucks, and the West, the Rams. Wild card wise, Niners. Man, the NFC sucks. The NFC is straight up booty. All right, so I'll say that the Niners, the Cardinals, and the Saints make it. Screw the Packers. Screw them right in the face. All right, next up. Greg Wesley. Could you rank these Vikings teams on how much fun they were to follow? 09 Vikes, 2012 Vikes. Why 2012? Random. 2015 Vikings, 17 Vikings, 2019. So I'll put the 2012 Vikes at the bottom, I guess. I will put... Why 2019? I'll put the 2014 Vikes at the bottom, 2015 Vikes second to the bottom, because that was Shank at the bank. 2019, won a playoff game. Yay. put that in third. I'll put the 09 Vikes below 2017 because 09 was a hell of a lot of fun. But 2017, so the 09 Vikings were expected to be good. And so you went through the season with that mentality. The 2017 Vikings really came out of nowhere. Yes, they had a great defense, one of the best, if not the best in the National Football League, depending on metric. But, I mean, Case Keenum, he was seen as just a journeyman backup, just a sort of a system, not great arm, quarterback coming out of the air raid with Houston, putting up all those numbers. NFL-wise, never really got the time of day, and it was fun. Magic carpet ride, home Super Bowl on the line. It's supposed to be that 1 year out of nowhere, but no, not so much. John Anderson TV. Hey, as always, thanks for the great content. Thank you. Do you think it is realistic for Justin Jefferson to win league MVP, or will Captain Kirk win it if we live up to the hype? So the problem with wide receivers winning the Heisman or NFL MVP is the quarterback is going to be delivering you the football. So you're going to be splitting votes, or the quarterback's going to get all of the credit. And so you can find a spot, say, knocking on all wood, not putting this evil on Ricky Bobby, but if there's two quarterbacks involved, like if there's an injury and the second quarterback is still up to snuff, and then the wide receiver is still doing the damn thing, that's when I think you can get it. But I think Jefferson could win league MVP, mainly because the national media poo-poos on Kirk Cousins. And, because Jefferson, first 2 years, only receiver over 3K. Who's been throwing him the football? Kirk doesn't get enough credit for that. Poop Show 112. Yo, Andy, what are your expectations this year for Lewis Cine, Asamoah, and simply the Vikings defense as a whole? Considering we were almost number one in sacks last year, you should break down our defense. Let us know what you think. Also, I'd like your thoughts on QB2, QB3. How good could this team really be? So backwards to the front. This team could be elite, certainly. QB2, I do think that Mond will beat out Mannion in camp, which would be great. Defense as a whole, like you mentioned, the Vikings were number 2 in the league last year with sacks, I believe, was it 51? Something like that, only behind the Steelers. But they can rush the passer. And it's going to be even better this year with Daniil healthy and Zadarius Smith healthy, knocking on all the wood. They got to improve against stopping the run because that's the way that the Vikings were just bogged down, deflated last year. That's how the defense got tired late in games. They're just constantly on the field. And then for the rookies, I like Asamoah, Cine, and Andrew Booth's energy. Also, Caleb Evans. I think that the Vikings clearly went to the draft with a type of player, bringing some juice and some energy and some youthful exuberance to this defense. I think Asamoah, he's going to start out on special teams, but it's going to be hard for Jordan Hicks to keep him off the field. I mean, he's just going to be fantastic. And then Lewis Cine is going to do the damn thing. Like him and Harrison are going to start. Bynum will rotate in there. He'll get some work as well. And then eventually, after Harrison moves on, it will be Lewis Cine and Cameron Bynum. But Lewis Cine, I think he's like a 6'2" Bob Sanders, man. I'm really excited for Lewis Cine. Meet Souths. Greetings, Andy. What is your drink of choice, hard or not, either while watching Vikings games or in general? So watching games, don't really partake in hard beverages. Like, no, get me wrong, definitely not a Puritan or a prude. But I don't know, during the games, just water, maybe like a Coke Zero or something. But generally, just not really getting after it, mainly because we got to keep our wits and do like the post-game videos and all that stuff. But just in general, I don't know, in summer, any sort of light beer is fantastic. So we just got back from vacation up at the lake, and there's just something about Malibu where if you're around water or hot weather, just like that coconut rum, getting it done, that's right, man. But drink of choice in general, there's definitely like very plain Jane, but I don't know, like Captain and Coke, which is really good. Or definitely have grown to appreciate well, it depends on the setting. So like if you're out with your guys at a ball game or just enjoying life, I mean, a couple of beers, a couple of Captain and Cokes, you're good to go. But also starting to appreciate liquor either neat or simply on the rocks, or if having some nice bourbon or whiskey or scotch, a little bit of water. That's really fantastic there. So let's see, what's the scotch that we've liked? Can't remember the name, but just things like Johnny Walker. We got gifted a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue. It's really fantastic. Gentleman Jack is really good. I'm relatively basic when it comes to that. Tequila. of course. Travana, the George Clooney brand, name escapes me. Oh, Casamigos. It's really good. Deplorable Neanderthal. Our tight end depth is suspect. How effective can the Vikings be if Irv goes down? Do we know from watching KOC offenses how well he could adjust in that scenario? So, looking back, Kevin O'Connell's offenses with Washington, having Vernon Davis as well as Jordan Reed, so the tight end was definitely part of that offense there. With the Rams, I mean, Higbee is fine, but he's certainly not the focal point of that offense and certainly not the passing game. Gerald Everett as well when he was there for a couple seasons. But, yeah, I do think that he can adjust. Like, if something happens to Irv, I think the Vikings will spread it out even more. But I'm hopeful that at least someone can step up as a competent tight end too, whether that's Nick Muse, whether it's Zach Davidson, whether it's Johnny Munt, whether it's whoever. Dime Clips. Do you think that Sue will sign since we have enough cap to get him? I know age is a factor, and why no one's picked him up. Competition for D-line, yes. I think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be 1 year, $5 million, a little bit of incentives, minimal guarantees. Let's go. Relation. We're clearly on our way to a 60-1 season. Damn those lines. Yeah, that's what's going to. No, they're going to lose a game to the Bears because the Bears are going to be garbage this year. The Bears are going to go 1-16, and one of those wins, the win is going to be against the Vikings. Just watch. But worst case scenario. What's the win-loss if Kirk suffers a scraped elbow on the first play of the preseason and Kellen Mond has a spot start for 17 games? I don't think it changes much. I think that the offense will still roll. I think that Kellen Mond has enough arm, and I think that Kevin O'Connell has enough knowledge to be able to protect the kid from himself as well as accentuate his positive. Also, I think that Kellen Mond would add an interesting dimension to the offense, given that he has great mobility with his legs that Kirk Cousins obviously does not have. So all of a sudden, maybe the Vikings offense gets a little bit dangerous because you have a young quarterback who his mobility will actually help out the pass protection of the offensive line or lack of pass protection at times. And you have to be worried about him running. And then all of a sudden, he's not worried about chucking it deep because he certainly has the arm talent to get the ball down the field. And you have Jefferson. So, I don't know. I don't think it changes much. I really don't. Daniel Brewer. Should we go all in on quarterback next year's draft? Talking CJ Stroud would fit very nicely in Kevin O'Connell's offensive juggernaut plans. Thank you, Skull. Well, it depends what happens this year, because if and when the Vikings win the Super Bowl, you're trying to repeat. Or if the Vikings get close, you feel like you're almost on the threshold and you don't want to mortgage the future or don't want to spend up high draft capital to get that quarterback win. One more piece here or there, a guard or a tight end or a linebacker or an edge rusher or a corner can get you over the hump. So I just don't see them going all in next year. Jesse Oulet. What's the best thing to get at historic U.S. Bank Stadium food-wise? Coming in from New England for my first game and wondering what foods you recommend. I don't have an informed opinion because I don't go to games. My ass is always here in the studio, keeping tabs on the fantasy team, watching the games, all that good stuff. So I'm sure that some of the Jeromes will toss in some food recommendations, but I really don't have any. Matt Hammernick. In the last 10 years, other than the 2014 draft, Vikings drafted Bar over Donald, which draft pick would you want to go back and change the first round? Who would you pick? Well, you can do this about every single draft, but let's just pick one at random. Let's pick 2016. 2016 draft NFL, because that was by and large like the poopiest draft for the Vikings. Like, it's rough, very, very rough. This is the Treadwell draft. All right, so let's see, Vikings. All right, so Treadwell at 23. I mean, Treadwell over Kenny Clark. I mean, Kenny Clark is a bad dude. Respect. Not busted up over jail. Oh, Xavier Howard. Yeah, Xavier Howard, Chris Jones. Yeah, we'll take that one. Vikings. Yeah, could take a Cody Whitehair over Mac the first time. Let's see, no third round pick that year. Oh, Willie Beavers. Yeah. Oh, Willie Beavers over Dak, even though. Oh, Matt Judon. Man. Oh, Kentrell Brothers over Tyreek Hill. That's a rough one. Behringer versus Jakeem Grant. Sure. David Morgan is probably the best player from this draft class. And he said deuces because he had that knee injury. CJ Ham. Undrafted, man. Love it. UDFA. All right, so yeah, just looking at one. Next up, Big Merc. 101. If Ed Ingram is a starting or at least a solid backup this season, is that the first huge miss by the new GM? Obviously, still early, but that was a questionable pick according to the talking heads. Well, potentially, but I do see Ed Ingram. I think that his floor is going to be a backup this season. I think that there is a chance that if competition is completely open in training camp and preseason, that he overtakes Chris Reed or Jesse Davis for that guard spot. Tristan D. After Kirk's contract is up, or let's say maybe he isn't as good as we think, he will be this season, and KOC wants his own quarterback. Could you see Kwesi trading up high draft capital? So basically, if Kirk falls on his ass, they'd have to do something about his contract. He still has a no-trade clause, but maybe they'll just bite the bullet and they'll just eat the cap for next year. And then, yes, go after their own quarterback. It's possible. Like, everything goes kaput this year, maybe. Jack Bootram, 2017 Week 10, Rams versus Vikings, both 7-2. I want that feeling again of being a good team and also being a good team. So the Vikings got on with the Rams at historic US Bank Stadium. Do you think it's a season where we have one of those games? Let's look at the schedule. Actually, don't we have one of those? I think we have one. Zoom in and enhance. I nailed it. All right, so I think that the Vikings could be 7-0 rolling into the Bills game. I know. It's more than that. 8-0. 8-0, 7-1 rolling into the Bills game. I think the Bills obviously would be good as well. That'll be a nice showdown. Patriots could be good. That'd be a good one. All right, so next up. That Bills game is going to be fantastic. Ryan Marshall. How much loot do you think the Vikings should have on their books to sign a free agent in case someone gets abducted by aliens? Personally, I wouldn't sign anyone else and see if the roster bucks. Well, you need a couple million in cap space just so that you can survive attrition. I don't think you necessarily go out and sign anyone big, but just bringing on your own guys from the practice squad, I mean, that'll cost you a little bit. Samuel Paradise. Which game is going to be the wildest season? Personally, the one of the Bills is going to be wild. Bills is going to be good. Bills game is going to be good. Watch something stupid like the Commies game. Like Kirk Cousins returning home to Washington. All that turmoil with the Commies. All of a sudden, Jefferson and Scary Terry just go off. And it's just a massive, entertaining 47-42 shootout. Just getting it. It's always like the stupid one-off games that you don't expect to be any good. That just sometimes can slap really hard. Let's see here. Torrey Hansen. Who would be your dark horse MVP prediction for the Vikings to be at the end of the season? Dark horse. Chris Reed. Chris Reed takes over the center job, and he's the man in the pivot. Pride of Mankato State University Community College getting it done. RYW. The Chiefs traded up to 10 to land their guy when they traded up to get Mahomes back in the day. Assuming we are a Final 4 or 2 this team, would you trade up to number 10 this year? Yes. Yes. If Stroud or Van Dyke or Young or whichever Richardson, whichever quarterback really steps up this year, go get him. Sure, why not? By the way, you're a king. Thank you. Let's see. Let's do a couple more. We can cut this in two. So I don't like these Q&A videos going on for 40 minutes. A lot of questions. We like going in depth. Casey Kulis. Rank these wide receiver duos. Torrey Holt, Isaac Bruce, Jimmy Smith, Keenan McCardle, Chris Carter, Randy Moss, Harrison, and Reggie. Keep it good work. I will go CC and Moss. Man, Holt and Bruce are... Well, spoiler, Jimmy and McCardle are going 4. I mean, just sort of is what it is. I love and respect both their games, but, I mean, Torrey Holt and Isaac Bruce... Bruce is in the Hall of Fame. You can make a very good case for Torrey. Marvin's in the Hall of Fame. You can make a very good case for Reggie as well. I'm going to go... Torrey and Bruce over Marvin and Reggie. Because I think that... Because Torrey and Isaac Bruce had success in their careers away from Kurt Warner, and Harrison and Wayne, Reggie was fine with Andrew Luck for a couple seasons, but overall, Harrison and Wayne always had Peyton. So it's hard to parse out like how much of it was the quarterback, how much of it was them on talent. So I'll give the slight edge to Torrey Holt and Isaac Bruce. But either way, I mean, you can't really lose. From the year 34-52. Wonder why immobile pocket quarterbacks who are literally professional athletes don't reinvent themselves and work on sprinting agility. Sometimes they just don't have that ability. Like, you're trying to turn Tom Brady into a 200-meter sprinter. Ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen, man. Sometimes you just can't move. Mags Mobile. What happens if Kellen Mond comes out and lights up preseason? QB2, quarterback of the future. Pretty easy. Tyler Johnson. How do you react if Rodgers pulls a Favre and joins the Vikings for a farewell tour? No. First off, I don't want to pay him the money. Second off, I don't like him. With Favre, I always liked his personality. I always liked the tenacity that he played with the game. I mean, Packers fans, if you poll Packers fans, 80% of them will tell you he's a douchebag. Diva, douchebag, Hall of Bird Bones, Boniva, blah, 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 right? But, I mean, the majority of Packers fans, they love Favre. Like, even after he turncoated and pulled the Judas and joined the Vikings, like, they still loved him, and he's been accepted. If Rodgers somehow joins the Vikings or joins the Bears or whatever, and then he tries to come back to Lambeau to have his number retired, I don't think that one will go over as easy, because he's not. They respect his talent, but alleged talent, but he's not as revered and beloved as Favre, and he never will be. So that's it. Speaking of that's it. We're gonna cut Q&A off. Maybe we'll finish the rest of the questions later. We still got about half of them. Thanks for everyone who submitted. Thanks for coming along and making this channel fantastic. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. If you want to support the work, it's Friday. Put something in the Venmo. But until next time, Skol, production value.